Hi everyone, Coach Vidic here. Today we're going to do lesson 2 as part of our algebraic equations unit. And today we're going to look at type 2 equations. So let's just go ahead and review what our goal is when we're looking at algebraic equations, and specifically when we're trying to solve for the unknown variable. Okay, so for example, if you have x plus 2 equals 7, well, the goal is obviously to figure out what x is, in other words, to solve for x. And how do we do that? Well, here's, again, I'm going to remind you how to do that. You can start this little point here. To solve all equations of any type, the goal is to get the variable all by itself on one side of the equal sign. Okay, so in this case, the 2 is kind of annoying us. It's a problem, so we have to get that 2 over to the other side. Well, how do we do that? We do the opposite operation. In this case, it's going to be a minus. So that's how we get rid of it, because 2 minus 2 is 0, and then you end up with an x all by itself. Okay, 7 minus 2 is 5. I'm sure we could have all done that one, maybe even in our head. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at type 2 equations. And type 2 equations basically require you to do 2 opposite operations. So it might be subtracting and adding, or multiplying, dividing, or a combination of adding and multiplying, something along those lines. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at a few examples. Okay, all right, so our goal, again, keeping in mind that the goal is to get m by itself on one side of the equal sign. So right now I have a couple problems. I have the 7 and I have this 2 over here, so I have to get both of them on the other side of the equal sign. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, let's go ahead and do one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and get the 7 over first, and I'll tell you why I'm going to do the 7 first in a second. So how do I get rid of the 7? Well, I have to subtract the 7 from both sides. And then I'm going to be 7 minus 7 is 0, so I'm going to be left with 2m over here. 15 minus 7 is going to be 8. Okay, well, basically now, after doing one step, I've taken this type 2 equation and turned it into a type 1 equation. So really, now it's back to kind of what we did last class, and now I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and that's going to get rid of this 2 over here. And finally, all that's left on this side is the m, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So m equals 4. It doesn't matter if it's m equals 4 this way or that way. It's still the same. It's still the same thing. Okay, so why did I do the 7 first and not the 2? Well, here's kind of a rule that you might want to follow, and this is the rule. Okay, always do adding and subtracting first before you do multiplication and division. Basically, you want to do the simpler operations first. The simpler operations are adding and subtracting. Then you want to do multiplication and dividing. And then finally, if we ever get here, and you will eventually, squaring, something like n squared and square rooting will be the most complex operation. So you always want to do it in this order: 1, 2, 3, and most of the time you're just going to be doing these 4 operations over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this next example over here. So I'm going to do the 6 first before I do the 3, because this is addition and this is multiplication over here. So how do I get that 6 over onto the other side? I do the opposite operation, and oops, and do that to both sides, and then I'm left with negative 3k. The 6 disappears, and 27 minus 6 is 21. Now I go ahead and divide both sides by negative 3, and this turns into a 1, and the k is left over, and 21 divided by 3 is negative 7. Okay, and again, if you want to test this out, you can always put that negative 7 back in there, and I get negative 3 times negative 7 plus 6. Does that equal 27? Well, negative 3 times negative 7 is 21, plus 6 is 27. So that works. Okay, all right, couple more. Here we go. First, I'm going to take care of this 5, and I'm going to add 5 to both sides. That's going to get rid of this 5, and I'll be left with h over 5 equals 30. Finally, I want to multiply both sides by 5. Times both sides by 5 there. Multiply this by 5. And again, here's why that works, because 5 over 5 is 1. And 1 is just, we can leave it as h because 1 doesn't affect it. And 30 times 5 is 150. Okay. Last one. I'm going to add the 18 first. So that'll go away, and I'm left with a 3a equals 105. Okay, and when I divide that by 3, divided by 3, and I will get a equals, and I think that is 35. Okay. Okay, thanks for watching, and hopefully this made sense to you. Again, type 2 equations. The type 2 just corresponds to 2 steps. So really, it's the same procedures as we did last time, except now you have 2 steps instead of 1 step. Okay, always remember your goal, and your goal is to get all the variables by themselves on one side of the equal sign. Okay, only then can you tell what the. Okay, see you next time.